Hello, everybody, and welcome to this workshop on how to visualize your idea using the business model canvas. I'm Lisa Tretler, and I'm going to be teaching you how to use a wonderful tool that will help you articulate the business ideas and ventures that you are all coming up with. I wish I could be all with you on the ground in Cameroon, but given that I am back in New York, I will be thinking of you from overseas and across the ocean. But I hope that we'll have an opportunity to meet one day. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I am currently a professor at the Heinz Institute of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Iona University. And I'm also an entrepreneur in residence at Columbia University in New York. I love working with students and helping them think through and develop their business ideas. I also have a consulting firm called Business Boosters, where I help many small businesses develop new ideas and launch and raise money so that they can scale and become meaningful contributors to society. I've also worked quite a bit in the nonprofit world, volunteering on a number of different boards, and also starting one called the Acceleration Project, which had a goal of teaching people to become consultants to help their local small businesses succeed. My background is in international relations, and for that reason, I love working with students from overseas and also in business from the Wharton School of Business. And I also happen to be a mom to two college students, an incoming freshman and also a senior. So let me tell you a little bit more about venture planning and then the tool that I'm going to introduce to you. The outcome of venture planning is to make sure that any idea you have is viable, meaning is there a market for it, or will people buy it or use it? Is it sustainable, meaning can that idea gain enough traction and make enough money to keep it going for the long term? And will there be a market for it in the long term? And also, is it desirable? Is this a venture that you are interested in working and dedicating a lot of time to? Because no doubt you'll be spending a lot of time on it. And will it help you to achieve your personal and professional goals and make the change in society that you wish to achieve? So why do we use the business model canvas in particular? It's actually a really, really wonderful tool to help you understand your business model and see it comprehensively in a very straightforward and visual way. It leads to insights about the customers you serve and what your value proposition is and what you'll be delivering to them and how your company actually will make money. It also helps you understand the interrelationships between every decision that you make for your business or your service, and understand how every decision might impact the others and also impact the bottom line. What's nice is it's really a very straightforward and easy tool to use, and you can change it very often because, as we know in entrepreneurship, it's never a linear journey. We're always making changes and updating our business models. So sometimes I have been asked, what actually is a business model? And basically what it is it's a set of assumptions on what the business will and won't do. It talks a lot about who your customers are and what their values are and what they care about and their behaviors. It addresses what the company is good at and what they'll be involved with, or who they may partner with. It also may answer the question, how do we make money in this business? And actually, that's probably the most important question that it answers, really understanding how you're going to be delivering that business, who you're going to be delivering it to, what kinds of resources that you'll need, and at the end of the day, whether you can actually sustain it by keeping it business and drawing in enough money to support it. So the objectives of business model generation, and I'm actually going to have you do a homework assignment or a thinking assignment beforehand, and we'll be focusing more on our live class on this, is to really come up with ideas that satisfy existing but unanswered market needs. And of what I understand, you're going to be focusing quite a bit on healthcare issues in your country. It also helps bring new technologies or products or services to market. It might actually help to change an existing idea or marketplace with something better that you can offer to society and to customers. And it also enables you to create an entirely new market. I'm going to give you a few examples of business models that hopefully you've heard about. And the first is Nike. Nike, I'm sure you know that the running sneakers and the athletic clothes, that's a business model where they are a very marketing focused company, but they also do manufacturing of their products. They offer many different product line extensions into different types of clothing, different products, whether it's actually clothing or even it could be stationary goods or sports bottles or anything else like that. And they focus quite a bit on brand and value focus. Their channels are everything from selling direct to customers to stores. They have their own stores, they have a website. That's how they get their product to market. And as you probably also know, they also have a number of secondhand markets that other people and partners have gotten involved with to try to get their product to different customers. Another type of business model is Coca-Cola, and what they're very much known for is vertical integration of manufacturing, distribution, marketing, and sales. So not only do they sell Coca-Cola wherever you may find it, in a local store, at a grocery store, in a restaurant, but they also oversee their own marketing of the product, distribution, and they have manufacturing facilities all over the world so that they can manage their costs of every bit of the process of delivering their business and their product to the end user. I'll give you one more business model, which is PricewaterhouseCoopers. And PwC is a professional services company, so they don't sell products, but they do sell services. They sell things like accounting services, legal, IT services, and other kinds of business advisory services all over the world. And their big focus of their business model is cross-selling, which basically means that you are going to be selling your product to one customer who may have multiple needs, and you can actually meet those needs by providing a number of different services so that you're really capturing that customer need at every point. Here's a visualization of the business model canvas. It's actually, as you can see, almost like puzzle pieces. You'll see that there are different pieces that interact with one another so that you can actually see that there are relationships between every decision that you might make. There are 9 building blocks in that business model canvas, and it's important for you to know and think about all of those. The first are customer segments, the second, value propositions, the third is channels, the fourth are your customer relationships, fifth are revenue streams, 6 are key resources, 7 are key activities, 8 are key partnerships, and 9 are cost structures. And what I'm going to go through next with all of you are diving a little bit deeper into what each of those actually means. In addition to seeing it visually as I showed you before, there's also a business model template that I'm going to have you work on, which is actually a one-page document that looks a little bit like this, that covers all those 9 different boxes. And I'm going to have you think about filling in each of those boxes as you develop your particular venture ideas. Very often people just put pen to paper and actually fill this out directly on a piece of paper, or I've also seen people blow this up into a large chart and they add post-it notes to it to add some notes to it as they develop their ideas. Again, the idea is that you write things in pencil or put things on post-it notes so that you can constantly update your business model and change your thinking as you're learning more. So let's start with the first point, or the first part of the business model canvas, and it's the most important part, which are your customer segments. We always start by focusing in on who your customer is and who you're going to be delivering the value to. So it's very important for you to clearly define who your organization serves. And the way you can do that are by thinking of things like, what are the characteristics of this audience? What are their demographics? Or where do they live? What are their behaviors? What are their attitudes? And other things that could be things like education or their income or anything else about their lifestyle. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, are what are their pains, gains, and activities and jobs? And to explain this a little bit more, their pains are what are their frustrations or things that make life difficult for them in a particular problem area that you're solving for. So for example, in the healthcare area, is it perhaps not being able to get access to information or services, things like that? And then we think about what are their gains? What would be a great win or something really wonderful for them? Maybe it is access to really open and extensive healthcare data. Maybe it's being able to schedule a healthcare appointment more easily. And then what are their activities and jobs? So what are they doing in their day that takes up the course of their day so that you can envision how your product or service may kind of help them, or what it might look like as part of their day, their daily jobs. Second piece is the value proposition. This is also a really critical piece because once we've thought about who our customer is and what their behaviors are, what it is about them, and what their pains and gains and daily activities are, we need to think about what is the product or services that we're offering to them to actually help solve for those pains and even address those gains or provide them with more gains. So very often what we think about is we think about those pains and we say, what are the specific ideas that we have for really trying to alleviate those pains? What would be things that would be great wins for them? And then how does that look in terms of defining the products and services that you're offering? This chart here shows how related the customer empathy map, which is on the right, is to the value proposition map, which is on the left. And this is the tool that we're going to be using for your homework assignment. So what I'm going to have you do is envision who your customer is, really kind of define them in as much detail as you can. But think about what are those pains that customer is going through in regard to sort of the idea that you have. What are the gains that you might be able to present them with? And what are those jobs or things that they do throughout their day? And then I want you to translate those into what specifically are the pain relievers your product or service or organization are going to be offering, and how specifically what you're going to be doing is going to be creating gains for that customer. And then taking those gain creators and pain relievers and defining them into actually specific products and services that you're going to be offering. So really being able to almost offer a list of this is exactly what it is that we plan to deliver. The third thing we need to think about are channels. So once we've thought about our value proposition and what it is that we're offering to the world, how are we going to deliver it to our customers? And there are three ways that we think about doing that. The first are communication channels. Those are really marketing channels. How are you going to get the word out there that you've opened up a new clinic or that you have a new nonprofit that opened? How are you going to spread the word about a new medication or type of product that's out there and available? Those are all communication strategies and communication channels. Your communication channels may be everything from social media to large billboards, TV advertisements, could be conferences, anything that you can think of that you'd like to use as a tool for getting the word out there. Next, we have distribution channels. So how are we literally going to be getting the product or service into customers' hands? Is it going to be delivery by post, by truck, by hand, door-to-door delivery? Are they going to be able to download information or an app online? Where are they going to actually find those products? Will they be in pharmacies? Will they be in grocery stores? Will they be in local markets, etc.? And then finally, the third channels are sales channels. So how is it going to be sold to customers? How does a customer actually buy it? Again, is it by clicking on a little shopping cart on a website or on an app? Or is it that people will be actually going door to door to explaining the benefits to sell a product or service that way? You need to think about all three of those channels for bringing your product or service to market. The fourth piece is called customer relationships, and that's all about building relationships with each of your customers or your customer groups. And that is thought of in three different ways: customer acquisition, customer retention, and customer loyalty. So what is customer acquisition? It's all about how are you going to acquire those new customers? How are you going to bring them in the door to learn about you and to be committed to you, to purchasing or participating in your product or service? How do we acquire new customers? Very often it might be through different marketing efforts. It might be through developing special relationships and educating customers about what you are offering. It's about convincing your customers to try or be open-minded to what you're offering. Those are all different kinds of acquisition strategies you need to think about. And the next is retention. Retention is, it's great when you get a customer in the door and you have people who are participating or purchasing, but then you need them to keep coming back and buying from you more or participating and using your services more. So how are you going to actually retain them? Will you offer them some incentives to retain them? Will you think about offering some really great customer service options? Will you change your pricing for repeat purchases? Those are all different types of retention strategies. And then finally, there's building loyalty, which is just making sure that not only are you getting your customers in the door, you're keeping them, but you're encouraging them to repeatedly do business with you over and over. So making numbers of purchases, using hours, coming in to visit as many times as possible. And how do we build loyalty? It might be through community building. It might be through a special program where, buy 10, get one free. It might be through building some type of community that they can belong to. Those are all different tools for building loyalty. So once we've thought about all the ways that we are going to envision our customer, our value proposition, and how we're delivering those value propositions, it's important to think about what types of revenue streams will be coming to you as a result of your value proposition. So it's really about what's the money that will come in so that you can keep delivering your value proposition. In which ways will cash be coming into the organization? So depending on whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, that may look a little bit different. If you're a for-profit, you will be bringing in revenues possibly from one-time purchases. It might be recurring revenue like memberships. Maybe you'll have people subscribing to a membership. If you're a nonprofit, you may also have one-time purchases, like people can pay for a class at a reduced fee, something like that. But you may also be bringing in revenue through grants or donations, so raising money to support the activities that you are trying to deliver. Some other ways you can generate revenue are through interest payments. That's actually mostly banks that do that, which is by holding on to money or investing it in the bank and being able to earn interest on some money that they're managing. But that's really mostly in the case of financial institutions. So I want you to think more about the revenue streams that will be coming in from different types of purchases, bundles of purchases, memberships. It might even be through advertising fees. It can be through anything like that, any ways that you can think of monetizing your offerings to bring in revenues. Next, we're going to talk about another half of the business model canvas that focuses and is related much more to costs. And the first piece of that, which is the sixth piece of the business model canvas, is called key resources. So it's really important to think about, if you are delivering your venture, what are the assets that are required to offer it to this population that you have in mind? You are going to have things like physical resources, or maybe it's space, classrooms. Is it a hospital? Where exactly will you be offering it? And how much will that be? Will that cost you? You may be needing financial resources to be able to build and develop whatever you're offering. Sometimes you need intellectual resources, which are really ideas. It could be technology ideas. It could be any kinds of ideas that are required to offer some kind of differentiated product or service. And then often, sometimes very importantly, are human resources, which are the people who are going to be delivering your offering, whether they are salespeople, marketing people, operations people, technical people. It's the people who will help your business run. And each of these areas will have costs associated with them. Also important is the seventh part of the business model canvas, which is key activities. So it's things like, what are the activities your organization or venture need to do to make the business model work? That might look different for a product business versus a service business. In the area of a product business, such as Coca-Cola, it is everything from manufacturing the Coca-Cola product to shipping it to stores, bottling it, and to actually having people sell it to restaurants or other kinds of accounts. In the case of service businesses, key activities might have much more to do with working with people, developing ideas and thoughts, and actually kind of hands-on types of activities that are more human resource run. Other key activities are just around execution, having the people in the organization that are actually going to make your idea work. Right now, you can think about your small team and what are all the things that they would need to do and all the responsibilities they would have to make this business or venture or service work. And of course, they all have costs related to them as well. Then we have key partners or key partnerships. And this is another kind of resource that's important to think about when you're running your business successfully. So who are you going to have strategic alliances with? Are you going to be working with competition jointly? Will you have joint ventures or special business buyer-supplier relationships? Who are the other ventures that you need to have kind of in your viewfinder that will help you deliver your product or service better, more effectively, efficiently, or less expensively? Maybe you're going to have distribution partners who can actually get your product out there. You might have marketing opportunities that you work on with other similar types of companies who target similar customer groups. Maybe you want to work with partners in other geographic areas or different countries that can help to bring key skill sets or new customers to your business. So it's also important to think about who are all those other companies that you need to work with to make your business run or to supply any kind of resource or talent that you don't already have internally. And once we've thought about all those activities and resources and partners, where's the place that our mind goes to on our business model canvas? We think of our cost structure because everything, unfortunately, has costs associated with it. So we need to think about all the costs that are incurred to operate the business. What are the costs, for example, to acquire your new customers and keep them there? What are those acquisition costs have to do with all those activities that are happening? It's the marketing activities and the sales activities. What are you doing to retain customers and how does that cost money? Is it a customer service function? Is it a higher quality product or service offering? What are the costs involved with producing or offering or delivering your value proposition? So if you're producing something new, are there materials costs or there technology development costs? Are there any other types of manufacturing costs that you may not have thought about? And then of course there's the cost to run operations. So operations can be everything to do with manufacturing. It could be customer service. It could be delivering your service or product to people so that they continue to buy from you. All of those things, everything that you're doing to deliver your customer, make your product, deliver it to your customers, keep them happy, and make sure that everything's moving slowly. All of those things involve costs. So it's important to think about what are all of those cost areas that you may have and begin to estimate what might those costs look like for what you're trying to achieve. So now kind of putting it all together again to this picture of those 9 steps in the business model canvas. Another way you can look at it is that the right side of the business model canvas is where you're creating value. It's over here. And the left side are all those things we think about that are related to costs. You can also look at it as on the top, we look at a lot of relationship drivers, and the bottom are really your financial considerations, such as how you're bringing in revenue and what your costs will look like. And again, in a successful business, for profit or nonprofit, the key is that your revenues will always be equal to or greater than your costs, at least in the long term. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the team assignment that I had for you to work on. And I'd like you to work together on a team about this, and we're going to talk about it live when we all get together, our in-person Zoom. Once you've decided on an idea for your entrepreneurial venture, and I know you've been working on thinking and brainstorming of those ideas, I want you to really describe your value proposition and business structure using the business model canvas as a tool. And there are going to be 3 pieces of this. I want you to start by developing a customer empathy map. You'll see this is the model on the right, and that's really defining who your customers are and what their everyday generally looks like. And then what are their pains and their gains that you're hoping to address through this new idea that you're coming up with. Second, I want you to map out your venture's value proposition by translating some of those pains and gains of your customers into what your offering actually looks like. So you can use the square tool here to kind of think about how do the pains directly translate into products or services that relieve those pains? How are those gain areas translated into products or services? And then how would you actually explain the product or service that you are offering? And then lastly, I want you to develop the business model canvas by adding a few bullet points in each of the 9 boxes, which summarize how your venture will operate and make money to be sustainable. And here is a more graphic version, but I'm actually going to give you an even easier tool, which I'll be sending you in PowerPoint for you to actually work in directly. So I'm going to show you more specifically 3 pages that I want you to think about. So first, we're going to have this page that integrates your customer empathy map with your value proposition. So basically what I want you to do is either print this out, or through your PowerPoint presentation, you can add some text boxes by first starting with your customers and thinking about who they are, what they do in their daily life that might have an impact on what you're offering. And I want you to list a bunch of their pains that you are thinking about, that you want to think about addressing. And also, what are the gains? What are the things in their life that might be healthcare related or related to your idea that are real sort of wins for them that will really help them in some way? And then I want you to take those thoughts on your customers and translate those into the actual value proposition, the products and the services that you're going to be offering that actually provide those pain relievers and those great gain creators. So I'd like you to offer this, or actually work on this visually. And then once you've done that, I'm going to ask you to fill out this this visual, which again you can print out, or you can through PowerPoint add some text boxes within each of these boxes. And I want you to just jot down some thoughts on who your customer segments are and get as detailed as you can. I want you to think about here your value proposition. What is it that you're actually offering? What are the products and services? And try to describe them as best as you can. How will you build customer relationships? How are you going to acquire your customers and keep them there and keep them loyal? What are the channels that you're going to use to actually deliver what you're offering to people? Will it be that they can come to your house, come to a school, or come to an office or a store? How will you be delivering it into their hands? Will it be digitally or remote or by computers? Again, all really important ideas to think about, and because all of these ideas tie into what your revenues are going to be. And then I want you to think about your key activities, meaning what are the activities that the workers in your venture are going to be doing? What are the key activity areas? And you may even think about them in terms of what are the first few hires that you need to make that will be doing different activities to grow your business. I want you to think about what are the key resources that you need for those businesses. Are they products? Are they technologies? Are they ideas? Are they ingredients? What are all those key resources that you're going to need to secure? And then also key partnerships. Who are you going to need to actually help you deliver this idea that you have? Is it a government institution? Is it an educational institution? Is it other similar types of companies think about all the partners you're going to work with. And then, of course, we also have the cost structure, which is given some thought to, well, how much does all these things cost? How much will it cost to hire someone to perform all these activities? How much will it cost to secure or buy these resources to make your idea a reality? The idea here is just to jot down a few bullet points in each box. Obviously, over time, you can spend much more time drilling down to the details of everything. But by the time you finish this business model canvas, and let's say maybe it takes a half hour or an hour to work on, you should be able to show this to other people to clearly explain what your idea is, what's the value it's going to create, how you're getting it to customers and getting customers to know about it, and how you're going to actually execute it based on the kinds of activities you do, the resources that you need, partners you work with, and then give people an idea of where the revenue streams are coming from, so where you're going to be making money, and what the big cost areas are. Obviously, over time, you would create sort of a cash flow to really kind of understand what the picture of your finances look like. But all that I'm asking for right now is really to think about the cost structure and what are the big cost areas that you think, to give you just a general feeling of how expensive it actually might be in a general sense to deliver, and whether you think your revenue streams are going to be enough to cover those costs. So that is my presentation for today. I hope it gives you a little bit of an idea of how to use the business model canvas as a tool for really thinking through your business and how you're going to execute on it. When we get together on our Zoom, I'm looking forward to meeting you live there. We're going to be talking a little bit more about how the process went for you, and also kind of allowing you to ask any questions and actually try to fill out that business model canvas in a little bit more detail, so that it's something that you can feel like you really have a good idea of what that business is going to be like, and how you can speak about that business to anybody who might be interested in learning more about it. So until we meet again, have a great week, and looking forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.